Good morning, everyone, and I hope you're comfy and cozy, and maybe you're just throwing on this reading vlog to get yourself in a reading mood. So today, I'm going to be focusing on a couple books, mainly the book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She was the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and then I have the book Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson that I have been trying to get into. The first couple chapters have been a little rough for me getting into it, so I'm hoping I could just maybe read a few chapters. I had this book buried underneath my bed, and I kept it for years because I really like the first movie, and I do like the first book. I haven't read it in a really long time, but I know that HBO is coming out with a TV series. I really liked the first movie, and I really wanted them to keep making more. I'm gonna maybe try and pick it up, read maybe a chapter today, because I want to get ready for the new TV show coming out about that. It looks like it's going to be really well done. I'm hoping HBO does it justice. In the beginning chapters of this book, she explains that in this universe and in our Earth, there's plants, animals, viruses, and bacteria, but then it's also inhabited by ideas. She talks about them being energetic life forms of their own, separate from us, and that they collaborate with a human partner. Some people, depending on how distracted they can be in their life, are more open to collaborate with ideas than others. And then she goes on to explain her encounters with this concept. She explains that she dreamt up an entire story while she was on a commuter train, and when she woke up, she wrote it out in its entirety and barely had to revise any of it. She says it felt right but really strange because it was so different from anything she had been interested or ever written before. She also talks about a time where she had to put aside a novel that she was working on, and then a few years later she met another novelist who described a project that she was working on, and it was pretty much the exact same story, the same premise and everything. So it's almost as if you don't say yes to working or collaborating with this idea, that it can move on to another person. And that's why there can be some instances where someone else may have an idea that they're working on that was your own. When I was reading this chapter, it reminded me a lot of when other popular authors would talk about how they came up with the idea for their book. Take George R. R. Martin, for example. In an interview and a documentary I was watching, he said, "I started writing a science fiction novel. It was an idea I was playing with for a really long time, a book called Avalon, and it was coming along pretty well, and then suddenly the first chapter of Game of Thrones came to me, where they find the direwolf pups. Suddenly it all gelled together, and I wrote that chapter in a few days. It seemed to pour out of me." This isn't the first time that I've heard something like this. For Stephanie Meyer, she says, "I got the idea for Twilight from a dream. It sounds kind of cheesy, but it was a great dream. The meadow scene in the novel is basically the dream that I had, and when I woke up, I wanted to know what would happen to them next." And then there's J.K. Rowling. I remember in a documentary I was watching all about Harry Potter, she mentions that the idea came out of nowhere, and I could see Harry very clearly. "I was going by train from Manchester to London, sitting there, thinking nothing to do with writing, and the idea came out of nowhere, and I could see Harry very clearly, this scrawny little boy, and it was the most physical rush of excitement I'd ever felt. I had all these ideas bubbling through my head. I can't describe the excitement to someone who doesn't write books, except to say that it was an incredible, elated feeling you get when you've just met someone that you might eventually fall in love. But that was the kind of thing I had coming off the train, as if I had met someone wonderful, and we were about to embark on this wonderful affair, that kind of elation, that lightheadedness and excitement. So I got back to my flat and started writing." Okay, don't you just love that it all began on a train for her, and trains in Harry Potter, the Hogwarts Express? There's something just about trains. You just have so much time to sit and think. They're really magical. Hello. So the day is ending, and yeah, that's kind of just what I had to say about the book today. A lot of Elizabeth Gilbert's examples and the way that she talks about creativity obviously stems back to writing, because she is a writer. She's an author of many successful books, but she assures you that this isn't just for writers. Creative living can be in any shape or form of how you see fit. I've been really enjoying exploring the mysteries of inspiration and learning about how to discipline yourself to kind of and open yourself up to potential creativity and ideas, and it's just been really fun.